and today we'll be going over chapters 36 through 40 of Plague Arcanist. And in chapter 36, well, never thought we would be back on the Third Abyss. Unfortunately, though, we are. And this is very odd circumstances that we are on the Third Abyss. And I have to admit, this is such a weird, strange feeling situation of being back. Basically, when they boarded the Third Abyss, they were pretty much told, you guys will stay in your quarters, and that is that. You will not go anywhere else, really, other than basically to the galley to get food, and that's about it. Volke, Adelgis, and Fane go to their quarters. Volke goes to sleep. Thankfully, Adelgis is giving him some more of these memories that Zelfrey has, memory dreams. So Lynus and Everette actually usurped Redbeard, and Redbeard got away with some of his sailors. So unfortunately, just through those fingers, but they'll have to keep working on a plan to figure out how to take care of that. Lynus has finally decided on a new name, and he has decided that he will be called Calisto. Later on, we'll go over the meaning of the name, but we also hear that Everette has the nickname himself, and he is called the Faceless. And just say, like, that's a pretty badass pirate name, the Faceless.
It's spooky. You know, it's got a lot of history behind it. It just sounds daunting.
And knowing Zelfrey the way that we do already, you know that there's that soft side on him, and I enjoy this nickname, and I can understand why he hasn't continued with it, but we do see the slow progression of Calisto going into how we know him today. And this is kind of that precursor. Something's changed. Something's happened. Obviously, a lot of things have happened with Redbeard and the way that Redbeard treated his crew, for the reason why Zelfrey and Calisto had decided to form a mutiny, I guess, against him and take him out. So they're talking about the Marshal of the Southern Seas as the One.
And they've met with him before, and pretty much the discussion has always gone that the Marshal only really wants to deal with the Faceless, which a little irking towards Calisto. He takes a hit to his ego on that one.
I don't blame him.
Everything he's done and just gets tossed to the side because he's not the Faceless.
Right. I mean, Calisto is a Manticore Arcanist. He's this huge, strong, macho man, like in all possible way. Yeah, super strong, super fast, all that good stuff. And he just took down Redbeard and his crew, took over his ship. He's now a captain of the ship. And of all the people that the Marshal of Southern Seas wants to meet, it's Zelfrey, the one that everybody calls the Faceless. So yeah, it's can understand the frustration there. Calisto is just kind of brainstorming ideas to take out the Marshal, and he actually comes up with a pretty solid plan of just being like, well, look, I'm a pirate. I could be like, hey, I need to do pirate things. How about you pay me to do pirate things, and then we can go in and kill the Marshal?
It's a solid plan. This is like Step Brothers-esque plan right there.
But it works.
It really does.
But realistically, it works for what they want to do. Zelfrey isn't very happy about this plan. I mean, again, he sees that it works, but he wants to get the Ominous Dominus from the Frith Guild, from Eventide. So Everette is trying to convince Calisto that once they take out the Marshal, they can basically go off on their own. So they don't need the guilds anymore. They can just kind of do their own thing. At this, Volke wakes up, and we find out that he's been asleep for 15 hours. And he wakes up to Calisto calling everybody to battle stations. All right. And with that concludes today's episode of Plague Arcanist, chapters 36 through 40. We do want to thank everybody for listening, and we want to also remind everybody that Time Marked Warlock is going to be out for ebook and audiobook around August 20th. They'll both be released on the same day, and that is roughly 3 weeks from when this episode airs itself. So if you are interested in Shammy's other works, that is coming out. I know that there's been a lot of pushback or a lot of hype about this book. It was supposed to come out earlier this year, but hopefully with all of the setbacks that she had, it's going to be that much more amazing when we finally do get it.
Eric, Scott, and I want to thank everyone for listening today. We post a new episode every Wednesday morning at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, and 8 Pacific Standard Time. We are on all podcasting platforms and are also on YouTube as well for video. After the additional episode airs, we post chapter-by-chapter videos every day in a smaller, easier-to-digest format. We do want to give a special shout-out to the final member of our team, Dan Mackison, one of the admins for the Frith Chronicles Wiki, link listed below, and doing his best to keep everything running smoothly behind the scenes. If you want to reach out to us, you could email us at frithguildpod@gmail.com or on Facebook or any other social media by searching for Frith Guild Podcast. Just to remind everybody, we have links to everything in the description below on both the podcast and YouTube. Scott, do you have anything else you want to add this week?
No, just excited to hear more about these adventures with Zelfrey and the Marshal of the Southern Seas.
And we're actually 2 episodes away from being done with this book.
Quickly approaching.
I feel like every time we've said this the last couple books, like, oh my gosh, we're already there, but we're chugging along. So, all right, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week. The chapter title is also the name of the ship that Redbeard is captaining. Is a captain of? I don't know if captain. Sorry. I promise I can speak English.